Hello there, I'm Ed Matthews, part of the Korum team. I'm here on the Sitch, a spectacular 26-acre carp fishery. I've invited down Phil Spinks and we're going to be talking you through some of the carp we've caught and some of the tactics and rigs we've used to catch them.
As Ed say, we're here on the Sitch today trying to catch some carp. Hopefully we can catch some carp on similar tactics to what we've been using lately. We've both been lucky enough to get very good fish lately. I've got a picture of Ed with what I believe was a 40-pounder that he had off the surface. Was it 40?
41 exactly.
41 on the nose. That's a big fish off the surface. So how did you get it off the surface, Ed? Were you fishing a long way out or was it close in?
It was about mid-range sort of distance, about 40 odd, 50 yards.
Yes. So you were spodding the biscuits out, or?
Yeah, spod. I did try the catapult, but the wind was in my face and it wasn't really the right tactics. So quick change, get the spod out, get a few biscuits out at distance and try and encourage a few fish to feed.
Right. Was there many carp competing for the dog biscuits or was it just that one big fish coming up for them?
There was a small group of carp and they're all milling around on the windward bank. Not a big number, there was other anglers on the lake. So I just thought I'd have a go at them being as they were bow waving.
Right. And
in total I think I had about 3 different fish competing.
And did you just use a normal controller float or did you have to use one of the sort of more distance controllers for that?
I used one of the Korum distance controllers with the changeable tops.
Yeah, they do cast quite well. They really do fly out there. So, well, what do you use for your hook link for your surface fishing? Because that's always a bit of a problem.
It is, yeah. There's a mixture of 2 things and it all depends on clarity of the water really. I either go straight for the Korum Expert line and use that in about £9 straight through, depending on the weed conditions.
Right.
Or I'll be using some of the Preston Innovations hook links.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably my favourite. The power line in 0.24. I think it's £11, and I've had some good fish on that.
Yeah,
that is strong.
Very reliable.
And what hook did you use for your surface fishing, Ed?
I've been using the new Expert hooks by Korum.
Right.
They're ever so sharp, very reliable, and you know they're something I trust. I think we're going to be turning the page in a sec and having a look at a hell of a fish that you've just caught.
Yeah, that was on the Expert hooks as well, and I think it gave him a fair test. Although I was fishing for tench at the time, I was lucky enough to get a mirror carp just over 52 pound, which I think caused a bit of a stir for those who were all trying to catch it, but I think every dog has his day.
Did you catch any other carp?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, although I didn't fish throughout the night. The next morning when I put the rods back out, I had another 4 carp. Nothing huge. The first one was the next biggest, just over 19 pound. But I've never seen a 19 pounder look so small compared to the one I caught the evening before.
Fantastic. And what sort of tactics were you using to catch those?
I was, as I was fishing for tench, I was spotting a mixture of casters, maggots, little 4 mils Sonia bait pellets out. There was some hemp seed, just trying to get everything feeding in the swim.
And what do you reckon the reason was for such a good hit of carp when you were tenching?
I mean, it looked so tenchy when I got to the swim. There was fish rolling, there was bubbles coming up, and I think carp was the last thing on my mind. But obviously what I thought was a lot of tench was more carp. And I'd hardly been in the swim about an hour and a half when I had that fish sacked up. And they're a hell of a fight on the £1.75 neoteric rods. It was good sport, it was good.
What method were you using? Traditional carp methods like, or something a bit different?
The new little Korum Dura feeders, I mean, they're so easy to use. 3 little fake casters just on a hair rig with a size 12 Expert hook, and it's spot on. You get the tench, bream, roach, you catch a bit of everything, but you never know what's going to come next, so it's a bit of a bonus for me.
The big question is, because you're tench fishing, what sort of pound line were you using to haul in a monster like that?
It's pretty much, it was £11 main line and a £10 braided hook link, which on a £1.75 rod, it's pretty strong. If you're landing £15 barbel and stuff on the river on that sort of gear, then as long as it's not too snaggy or weedy, it's not that bad. You've just got to trust your gear and just go for it, really. talk you through what sort of mix I'd be spodding out for my carp fishing. We've got a mixture of things here, all sort of small particles. We've just got some Sonia Bates hemp. I'll put a bit of that in there. Just some normal sweet corn. I like to put all the juice in there as well. I think it all helps. And then some little pellets to get everything grubbing around. And then I wouldn't be without, in this tin, there's a few fresh casters. I wouldn't be without a few casters. Everything likes casters. And you just mix that up. I also like to put a bit of ground bait in with my spod mix. I think it just helps bind it all up. There's all oils and everything in the ground bait. One of my favourites is the hemp and Halley crush. Tench, bream, carp, they all really like it. And you end up with a really nice spod mix full of all different bits and pieces to get them grubbing around on the bottom and keep them in the swim as long as possible. I'm just going to talk you through the rig that I'm using today, the new Korum Dura feeders. I'm just quite simply hair rigging 3 pieces of corn on a normal hair rig. I've got some different corn to try today to see if it helps me get a bite. I've got some of the new Sonia Bates krill flavoured corn, good old strawberry corn, and then just some natural corn as well. And I'll show you how these little Dura feeders work. They come with a little mould. I like to put a little bit of ground bait in the mould first, just a tiny little bit, like that. And just lay my hook bait inside it. Like that. Press that down, holding the little lips on the mould. And you should be left with a perfect little feeder like that. And that'll lay on the bottom. And the first thing they should come across will be your little pieces of corn on the top there. Here's a selection of the components I used to build the rig. We've got the Korum Dura method feeders, the expert specimen hooks, and some 10-pound power braid. We're now going to get some of this spod mix out in the swim and hopefully get some fish feeding. I'm just going to fill that up. I'm all clipped up just off the side of the island there, so it should be quite straightforward. We're just trying to get, I don't mind if I get roach, tench, bream, anything feeding in the swim. I just want to grab the fish's attention, get the swim going, build a swim up if you like, a bit like a match angler would keep feeding his swim. If I hadn't had a bite for an hour or two, I don't have no problems with topping it up again. That's about spot on again. I don't think the spods really bother the fish on waters like this. I think they almost associate it with dinner time every time they hear the spod. It's not just the carp that you'd be spodding for. I even use a little spod sometimes to put maggots in it out when I'm roach fishing. It's just the easiest way to get bait in the swim, especially at long range.
Just looking out across the water there to see if anything's coming up for the bait that I've introduced. I'm going to be talking to you today about surface fishing. It's one of my most favourite methods and it's been really kind to me over the years, and I've taken a number of good fish on that method. I'm going to talk to you about 2 different setups. I've got 2 rods set up slightly differently, fishing at different distances, and the subtle differences in between them can make a big difference to your catch rate. Right, here we've got one of my setups. It's a lighter setup. It's for fishing at close range. gives me a variety of different options. I like to use a soft rod, so I can, with a decent backbone, so I can bully the fish if need be. Not only that, it's nice and soft, so I can enjoy the fight of the fish. I'm using a Korum KXI free spin reel, loaded with 9-pound line, and I'm fishing this line straight through. Now I'm fishing it straight through to one of the Korum hooks with the bait band attached to the back. They're called hook hairs. Next bit of item of tackle I use are these line stops. I like to put 2 below, so on the cast there doesn't move whatsoever, and 1 above. And then this is the Korum controller in 4-gram version. It's ideal for fishing short range, be brilliant on your commercial carp fisheries. It's a 4-gram, like I say, very little disturbance when it enters the water, and it flies like a dream without any tangles.
I'm going to talk you a little bit more in depth about the rig and the components we use for the rig, because there's some great new little things here from Korum. We can get these little, I don't know if you can see that, the little kickers, like a little piece of shrink tubing shaped for just to help on the hooking on the fish. We've got those. There's also a sort of withy pool type design as well, which should be good for the pop-ups. One little bit worth noting are these little semi-fixed beads, like a little tulip bead. The swivel plugs into them, which then pulls into the back of the feeder, and that makes it nice and safe, so that if it needs to come out, it comes out really easy and you don't end up harming any fish. And above the Jura feeder are some of the new leaders by Korum, which are really handy if there's gravel bars or thick weed. It just helps pin everything down on the bottom and makes the rig look more discreet, and it also protects the fish against the tight line rubbing against the scales and things.
Right, this is my preferred setup. Bit of a big fish setup, but it's very, very versatile to be used in all manner of surface fishing. I've got a Korum expert rod I've been blessed with here. What a piece of kit this is. It'll punch out this controller way, way, way beyond the feeding fish, so you don't spook any feeding fish. I've balanced the expert rod with the mini pit reel, and it's a hell of a piece of kit. It's the KXR mini pit. I've loaded it with 9-pound expert line. You can see it's got a wide spool, so I can maximise my distance and get that controller flying out of there way past the feeding fish. I'll start from the hook. Here we've got the Korum Expert Specialist hook. This is a size 8, very sharp. I like the long shank for mixer fishing. I like a straight point as well, maximise hooking potential there. And I tie my own hair on the back. If I run up, you'll see here we've got the controller that I like to use. It's a Korum clear controller, 20 grams, flies really true and neat, lands with very little disturbance. It's a really, really exciting piece of kit, because when you're fishing at distance, it's good to be able to change the colour of the tops. Now these are rubber tops, they just clip on, really simple. Now the controller is attached to one of Korum's quick change lead clips. Now these are a really good bit of kit for mixer fishing. I like them because it allows me to change my controller. It allows me to take the controller off and store my rod set up without a controller banging away on the line and damaging the line. But the other thing is, if I can show you, as I open this up, you'll see I can change my hook links, because there's a little loop on the end, and if I've got a multitude of different hook links set up with different pound line or different hooks, it's really quick and easy to change those. Right, now I'm going to tell you about the bait I've been using. I use Sonu oily floaters. These are fantastic surface fishing bait. They come in a variety of different sizes. I've got 8s, 11s and 16s. Now at the moment I'm mixing 8s and 11s together, spice it up a bit, give it a bit of a variety. Not only that, there's a lot of roach activity, so I want a few larger items out there. Now they are oily floaters, which is ideal on choppy conditions. Create a little bit of a slick, it slows the mixers down in the wind, makes them hang in the water a bit longer so the fish get time to come up, investigate them and take them. These Sonu baits are ideal for a number of reasons. They're really soft, which allows me to get my baiting needle straight through them, and I can put one of those on the hair very quickly and also fish exactly the same bait that I'm baiting up with on my hair, so there's no difference whatsoever. It allows me to get those extra fish and put bonus fish on the bank.
Finally got a take. We had to swap over to little mini boilies because the roach and rudd were just knocking the corn off. I think we've got a little common. It's screaming off just off the corner of the island. So fingers crossed. It's really nice on the softer gear. Keep it away from the weed. He knows where he wants to go. See if we just humpbacked common. I think he's just about ready. Here we go. Let's have a look at him. Just lift him straight on there. And here he is. On the Dura feeder. Little common, probably, I don't know, probably only about £5 or £6, but lovely little common, and gave a good scrap on the lighter gear. This was on the, only using a 1 3/4 rod with little size 10 and 12 hooks and smaller baits. I think sometimes when it's fishing quite difficult, that can get you an extra bite and just something a bit different to everybody else. And just good sport. You'd be surprised what you can land on the lighter gear if you try it.
The mixer fishing at the moment, the surface fishing, is proving to be quite difficult. The weather's quite changeable. You know, 1 minute it's really bright sunshine, next minute it's clouded over and gone dull, and the wind keeps swirling around, but it's picked up now. Would my tactics be better spent on the bottom? Only time will tell.
We're in straight away again. Waited all morning for a take, and then you get two, one after the other. And this one looks a little bit bigger. It's a mirror this time. Screaming off from the spotted area again. They must have finally found the bait. Here he comes. Ooh. It's always the way when you put a lot of bait out, you can wait ages for them to move onto the spot, and then it can be quite hectic when they turn up. They fight so hard because it's a really shallow lake, so the only way they can go is straight out, really. There it goes. I've got just 11-pound main line on there and a 1 3/4 rod. That's more than ample in this open water. Here it comes. Be a little bit steady. I think I'm on either a size 12 or a size 10 hook. And like I said before, we just swapped over to mini boilies just because the rudd were knocking the corn off straight away. Keep them away from them weeds. And we had the take, you could see the fish bow waving across the lake as it picked the bait up, because it's probably only about 2 foot deep out there. And he's not giving it up. He must be getting tired. Not a monster, but double figure, I'd say. Here he comes. He's still not ready. Here he comes. Lovely. Just gonna grab the mat and bring it around here. There he is. Just nicked in that. Lovely one, that one is. Perfect. And now probably about 13 or 14 pound, nice and clean. Brilliant. This one went off like a steam train. It's got big old paddles on it. Brilliant. We've gone on a little tiny snowman rig just because the casters and the corn, we were just getting rud after rud. There's just so many small fish out there. But as soon as we put a little boilie rig on, we've had 2 carp in a row, and we've been using those new little kickers in the expert range just to create an aggressive angle, and it seems to be doing the trick.
Right, I've just been baiting up and it's time to refill my bait and tackle pouch. It's probably worth me telling you a little bit about it. It's a brilliant little bag, holds enough bait for the surface fishermen. It's ideal because you've got a compartment there where I can stick my bait, and then on the front it's got a zippable pocket with all my paraphernalia, bits and pieces, hook links, scissors, everything I need for an afternoon surface fishing. Fits snugly inside this bag, and I can strap it around my waist or carry it from swim to swim with minimal tackle, my 2 rods, a net, this bag, and I'm away. It's important when surface fishing to keep the swim topped up. I'm getting plagued by small roach, and it's important that I keep the bait going in, so when the carp do turn up, there's going to be some freebies there. I'm just using the Spon, put a few oily floaters in, close it up. Braided line on my Korum free spin reel, and what I'm doing is putting 5 or 6 sponfuls out quite regular. Keep an eye on them for when they disappear. Spon's emptying itself out there, and then just crank it back. It doesn't take long for the roach to get onto the bait, so I have really got to keep in touch. It's making it a little bit harder to work out when the carp are going to be feeding, because sometimes if they're coming up subtly they can look a lot like the roach. And so to keep on top of things, I keep looking through my binoculars, see what the situation is out there, and it's important to get a good pair of polarised glasses. Korum do these. They come with different lenses. I prefer the bronze lenses, let you look through the water, especially when the fish are close and the water's clear. You can see exactly what's going on. But it is important to keep scanning your baited areas, looking for the fish. The fishing's proving pretty tricky at the moment. Typical surface fishing, you can either have the day of your life or it's quite hard work. You've got to be prepared to move pegs from time to time, and today's one of those days. So I'm going off searching for the fish. You'll notice I've got minimal tackle. All my kit that I need, including my bait, is in this bait and tackle bag that Korum do. My two rods, my net, and I'm off. Right, I've just decided to have a change of peg. I've had a short walk down the way here. Found a bit of calm water behind the island. It's very shallow water, and sometimes there's a few fish knocking around in this area. I'm going to bait up again, spot a few out. I'll probably be using the catapult a lot more in this peg because it's quite short range stuff, and I have known the carp come close in. But there's a few bubbles here and there. There's no fish bow waving. It's a little bit hit or miss, but until you put some bait out, you definitely do not know what's going to come up and have it. Well Phil, today's been a little bit harder than what I thought it'd be. The weather seems to have been okay, and I thought I'd get a few chances, but I've not even seen a carp come up for any of my bait. Just roach really.
Yeah, not for the lack of trying, mind you. You must have been round 2 or 3 times just constantly trickling dog biscuits out, but if they're not going to take them, they're not going to take them, are they?
No, not at all. On the other hand, you've managed to catch a few fish.
Had a couple, yeah, a couple on the little Dura feeders, but we had to keep swapping and changing baits and keep baiting up and recasting. And little mini code red boilies in the end, just to try and avoid the roach and rudd. Anything else was just getting taken instantly by the small fish. But we managed to get a couple of carp in the end on the mini boilies.
They seem to have been rolling a bit, going down and fizzing now and then.
Plenty of activity out there. But, not sure if it's all carp. I think the roach can cause some of that, but we managed to get a couple.